Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. It's Tom Lenoble, and it's great to have you with me today. I'm excited about my guest today, Laura Heintz, who's the CEO of our Stanford Sierra Youth and Family. And she's going to tell us all about what she does and what that means. And I've been looking forward to this with you, Laura. It's really great for us to finally be here recording this podcast.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, Tom.
So let's get started. I want to know how this all started, that you're working with Stanford Sierra Youth and Families, and what even sparked your idea to get involved with it.
I think that's a great place to start. I have been in the field of mental health social services for children my whole adult life. I think that it started actually as a child. I wanted to ensure that other young people had an opportunity to grow in safe and loving homes. And my mom had taken in lots of children over the years, not through any formal system, but through just helping friends and family out when a young person was struggling. And she actually did end up adopting a child with my father before I was born. And that sister of mine actually inspired me throughout my life because she did face several developmental challenges, and she was my roommate. We shared a room, and she overcame a lot of amazing circumstances that actually made me feel very grateful for everything I had, including abilities, but also just a strong family unit, and wanted to make sure that other young people had that opportunity also. And I think my very first job in the field was in college, and I just kind of moved through the ranks over time, did a lot of different roles with several different organizations, but always aspired to run my own organization, and ended up here at Stanford Sierra Youth and Families in 2012 as the CEO.
Wow. I love these stories where we're motivated by our experiences to do something,
Yes.
especially in service to others. So tell me this, when you look at yourself today, how are you fundamentally different as a person than when you started?
The things that are the same are this tenacity and this focus on making things better. What I would say has changed for me is it's deeper rooted. I may be a little harder. I try to disarm folks with a gentleness and a smile, but I have this deep core of like a rock inside of perseverance. And my confidence has grown over the years for sure, because many things as you step into a leadership role and multiple leaderships and you push yourself in growth, you do things you've never done before all the time, right? But then you know you can do it. And so nothing, no unknown scares me too much. It's okay to be afraid, right? But not allowing that fear to paralyze me over the years has actually strengthened my resolve and made me harder inside, even though I think I still have the gentle spirit.
Wonderful. I love this.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested. I find when I talk to people that there's someone who had an influence on them
Yes.
really early in their life that is, you can track it and it's about who they are today. We go on this journey to find ourselves sometimes, but it started somewhere where some seed got planted. Who was that for you?
I've been so fortunate to have so many mentors in my life. I can think about even as a young child and people seeing me for something more than I knew I was. Um, but I have to say, and I mentioned what my mom does or did as growing up and recognizing folks' need for care or even parents needing a break and support, um, she never said no to anybody who needed help. And and she's also an incredibly strong person. I can't say that I'm as strong as her, maybe in some capacities, but she definitely inspired me, although growing up with a mom that strong sometimes also had its challenges. Um, and navigating that has also supported my own growth, and my ability to actually not be intimidated by other strength, other folks that come to the table with their own strengths. Actually, I welcome. And I think that's from early seeing strength played out in my own family system.
Where did life ask you to slow down recently? And what did you really hear about it?
Well, that's a great question. I think for many of us, the last 5 or 6 years have been totally different than we expected. And in actually 2021, my husband had he had 4 strokes in 2021 and then the fifth in 2022. And that shifted our whole family system. While I was continuing to serve in this position, and we were coming out of the pandemic, and at work, we were dealing with workforce challenges. And my team and I decided we actually did deliberately sort of step back on our growth and step back on some opportunities to expand services. We've grown anyway, but we slowed it down. And the other thing that I did, I used to volunteer all the time, everywhere, on the weekends and through lots of different service organizations. And once I became my husband's primary care provider and advocate, I've given myself permission to focus on that as my work right now, and to be okay with that. Um, and it's also deepened my spiritual connection. And I would say that that is how I've really gotten through it. And I think my leadership capacity has actually expanded due to those forced situations where I stepped back, reflected, and reprioritized.
So tell me this, what decision did you get to make or have to make recently that made you feel like you had to act on it before you were ready?
So I mentioned that we slowed our growth, but when I came to the organization, we were about 5 times smaller than we are now. So we've grown 5 times since 2012, but the huge growth has been in the last 3 years. And with that, there was a real need to restructure our leadership of our organization, including our board. And simultaneously, there were some huge state legislative actions that impacted our service, especially our mental health service for children, and how we would be funded and how we would support our program service delivery. So we basically had to advocate for rate reform and adjust as we were in the middle of service delivery. This was in 2023. And my board got nervous, of course, because our numbers weren't looking good midway through the year. And I kept focused on the end goal, and I changed the strategy where we went county by county, program by program, and advocated not just in the bigger membership organization advocacy, but individually, program by program, with each of our county partners. And we serve multiple counties. And by the end of the fiscal year, we looked financially really great, but it was a very scary time, I will have to say. I did have faith that we could get through it. I kept my eye on the prize, I kept focused on the value we add, the services we deliver to young people and their families, and how badly they're needed right now. They're needed so deeply based on so much that's happened in our last 5 to 6 years, and even deeper societal issues that I just really, I knew we had to take action, but we weren't ready, and yet we still had to take action. And I would even say in this last fiscal year, our big focus is a redesign of the board and their role in our organization as a nonprofit. And we rebuilt it, redesigned the whole board structure and committees, and implemented it this fiscal year. And I'm also in a leadership reorganization. I call it phase 3 right now. So I've done phase 1 and phase 2 in the last 2 years, and I'm in phase 3. And do I have everything I need to make phase 3 actually happen? No, but I have to put the vision out there first and then get the resources to implement. And so we're even parting out part of that phase 3. But it's a constant kind of feedback loop where you're adjusting as you go. And are you ever 100% ready? I would say no, but you still have to take action. It's one of those things you can't get paralyzed by fear or not having exactly everything you need, but take action and have the right people at the table supporting the action. That's also key.
I love this. How has your relationship with risk changed as your responsibility has grown?
I would say my field of delivering services in mental health and social services for young people, youth that have been in the foster care system, youth that have had a lot of trauma, and funding in this field are always risky. Okay. It is just a risky endeavor. It is not a secure field. I say that this work is not for the faint of heart. You have to put the mission first and foremost. Risk is part of what I manage. So I think risk mitigation is important, but also acknowledging I wake up with risk every day. And I'm okay with that. And my team that sticks around, those that are resilient and able to manage it, they welcome it in a sense because it keeps you on your toes and in some ways makes you better to navigate those risks. So you're mitigating, but you're also not being paralyzed by the fear of risk.
How does Laura lead when you're not sure of yourself?
So this is an interesting question because I believe leadership is about revealing the talents of all that are with you and walking with you. So I don't believe I have to know all the answers. I believe that you build a group and it's, your own team, but also stakeholders and folks on your side, right? Along the way that help you as a thought partner and you use thought partnership to guide through the challenges. And there are many times that I could say that when I walked into a challenge, I may have had a possible solution and I would throw that out there, but I also would paint the scenario, give folks enough information, all the information I had, so that they could offer up solutions. And then we would navigate and decide which way to go. And often it would be kind of a hybrid of the thought partnership that we would implement. And what the beautiful part about that is there's a lot of buy-in and everybody's got almost skin in the game for a positive outcome. It's not just one person saying, this is what we're doing. We have converged, we have come together, and this is the action we are taking together. Now, do I have to make individual decisions? Of course, that is part of leadership. But whenever you can engage your thought leaders, you're also developing the next leaders that can make those decisions and take action when you're unable to, when you're not around. And that is actually my ultimate goal, is to build that next leadership level. So when I'm not here, they're still able to take action, and build their next generation. So it's perpetually building that next generation and not relying on one person.
What one thing have you learned about leadership that no one prepared you for?
Well, I know this is going to sound a little naive. I had no idea how hard CEOs have to work. I work so hard. I thought at some point um, I could let off the gas a little, and I haven't been there yet. I mean, we talked about slowing down, and we did slow down our growth, but what we did was dig in deeper into the things we were best at and the things that were critically important. Um, and I also know that my greatest strength is leading with my heart. I don't think that's necessarily everybody's way to lead, but I have to be all in. I throw my whole heart, my soul, my mind in, but definitely my heart is the lead of the work I do. And servant leadership is definitely my go-to. There's lots of other leadership components, but servant leadership is definitely at my core. And I think people opt to lead in different ways, and they have to lead with their strengths, I think. And so the way we lead may look different, but definitely for me, I lead with my heart. It's not an easy way to lead, though.
I love it. I love it. Tell me this, how do you recognize when fear is information and not a stop sign?
Oh, wow. These are great questions. Boy. Um, I always look at fear as information first. Okay. Meaning I look at it, what's it telling me? And how do because fear is good information. Sometimes you want to at least pause, and then you can take that, and you use thought partnership. I have to say though that a lot of it is my gut. I do have intuition, and I find that when my gut tells me to move forward, I know I must. And when my gut tells me take a step back, I know I must. And trusting my gut has always been really important, but even more so as I have grown and matured.
I love this. I love the whole trusting our gut.
Yeah.
It's very, very important to me. I learned early in my career that you have to validate it for people, right? You can't just, I couldn't just speak from it at times, but I can remember going into companies and a board would send me in to check out something that was wrong. And I felt like when I walked in the door, I could almost sense it, smell what was going on. And I always had to remind myself, wait, you need to
Yes.
gather some data here and make sure you're
Yes.
right. But I was usually, if I got out of my own way and I listened, I was right. So tell me this, what impact are you most proud of? I don't want to know professionally. I want to know personally. What impact are you most proud of?
I am most proud of seeing other people, humans, striving to do great work and feeling like they're empowered and they can because of some interaction, some connection with me. I've had many, I've mentored many folks, but I've also encouraged many to go back to school and, or it's not always school. It's what do they need to lean into, and encouraging folks to lean into their strengths. I've seen it over and over. I have a lot of folks in my world, my leadership world, that used to work for me, with me, and now our CEO is also, and that's wonderful. But I also have people that have moved into, setting up their own small businesses because of the work they did early with me. And I think I like to think that it's if I can do it, you can do it, and that I make leadership feel doable. It's not intimidating because it's authentic, and you lead with authenticity. And if folks see that that's what you do, then it gives them permission to do the same. And so I would say that, and I've seen it all over. It's not just work, it's personally too. Even back when I was in high school, supporting my friends in their own endeavors and what they wanted to do, even if it wasn't in the direction that, I was going. And I've always been there to support folks, and I always have said, lean into your strengths. What are your strengths, and lean into them? And I hear that even from my own kids now. So I really appreciate that component. And I think one person at a time, empowering, building others up is the way we really do change the world.
Yes. Yes. Wise words. What values are non-negotiable in your organization?
Integrity is one that's non-negotiable. That means living authentically, following through on what you say you're going to do, and matching what we say in our beliefs and how we serve, and delivering that way. So the words and action match. And then the other one that I would say is essential is partnership. And I've talked a lot about thought partnership. It is partnership at all levels, through the difficult times, making sure folks have the information they need to help navigate the difficult times, celebrating together successes, including and recognizing people for who they are, and recognizing each and everyone's talents, because we all bring something different to the table. We have a lot of values, but I would say that those two come up over and over and over for us as an organization.
So tell me this, what boundary has become essential in your personal sustainability?
My boundary, I know this is interesting to say, and as leaders, we don't often talk about it, but I have a really deep spiritual connection with what I call God, right? And it is one-on-one. And that's what promotes all of the work I do. I feel like I am here to serve. And that's that servant leadership also. And that's where I don't compromise. And when I feel like I can't carry something, I hand it over, because I am acting of service. And it's funny when I have those moments where I don't know what to do, or don't know how to turn, and maybe even I'm feeling too tired to carry the burden. I hand it over to my spiritual strength, which is way deeper than me as a human, right? At the core, the oneness, the connection to all. And that is where I move forward. And that I do not compromise in that realm.
Love this. How does Laura balance being a leader and being a learner?
I think learning is lifelong, and true leadership requires continual learning and reflection. Reflection, it's actually the thing I highlight with my team members as I'm mentoring and supporting in their own growth, is reflecting on your experiences, and how I don't expect perfection. I am a reformed perfectionist, meaning as a child, I always strive for that 100%. But As an adult, I realize you learn so much more from making the mistakes. So I encourage the learning component. And I always tell my team members, I don't expect perfection, but I expect continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And what that means is I have to live that. I strive to be better today than I was yesterday. I strive to pick up when I fall down. I strive to apologize when I make a mistake. I strive to make repairs when I have injured. And doing that actually is a way of learning because you step back and listen and learn the other perspective, and you reflect on your own challenge, your own barrier, your own ego components. And from there, you are a better leader.
Yes.
You again empower others to also lead that way and grow that way. So I actually think learning is a responsibility of a leader, continuous learning.
I love reformed perfectionists.
Yeah.
I was one of those as well, and I never thought of it that way. But I know what I learned along this journey is some of my mistakes created my biggest successes if I was open to it and was willing to let go of the fact that I had made a mistake. It's not
Yes.
the easiest one to learn, but I did. Tell me this, Laura. What's the boldest vision for the organization coming up here in the next few years?
So as a nonprofit, and this may not seem very big for others in the for-profit world, but we grew from about 8.8 million to near 45 million since I've been at the organization. We have about 300 staff. Um, we have turned down lots of opportunities because I was trying to build our workforce. Our workforce now, our retention is tremendous. It's in the mid 80%, which is amazing. And now we're able to accept opportunities of growth again, opportunities to serve our young people and families across our state of California, which is where we are right now. I told my team, be prepared. We will be at 500 staff in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's why we're working on this organizational redesign. What that means is probably double in size again in a very brief period of time. And growth and size in the nonprofit world does matter, but what you do have to retain is your culture, your values. And that's what I have been embedding in my leadership. We're doing a lot of work on leadership principles and communication and promoting those team members from within that have exemplified those principles. And what we are really focused on is keeping our core and expanding our breadth of service in the areas that we are most noteworthy and what we're best at, not just chasing for growth, but really serving in the best ways possible. And we, based on our data, know what we're best at. And that's what we're really focused on in our growth endeavors.
Wow, wow, wow. Exciting.
Yes. Yes.
Exciting. So tell me this. What does renewal look like for Laura beyond rest and time off?
Well, renewal, I was just thinking about a key part of renewal is being able to take that time to reflect and breathe. And for me, that it is a daily thing. I find time to do that in nature, um, meditation, um, reflection on what I'm grateful for, right? And those, you can't just wait for a vacation. You have to build it in and feed your soul daily. And probably even more than daily. I know that breathing, just conscious breath through the day, really makes a difference in letting go of things you can't control. Um, and so I would say that coming back to your spiritual essence again is also key. And that is not just a daily practice, but I'll even come back to my core between meetings, between conversations. And I have to do that. I find that that keeps me authentic. And so it is definitely, renewal is about those moments where you just are and you feel connected to the whole. And how do you make that happen? It may be different for others, but my ways are especially nature and breath and meditation.
Yes, yes. I find nature is my meditation at
Yes.
times. Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Clears so much if I, no noise, no music, just be present with what's going on around me. I love it so much. Yes. Tell me, Laura, there's so much wisdom you've shared with us today. I'm interested, what have you learned about trust on this journey?
I am a naturally trusting person. Okay. I have learned that I am more trusting sometimes maybe than I should be, but what what has happened is folks see that I trust and believe in them and they step up to the plate off more often than not. Um, what I have learned about trust is hard to build usually, and trust is key for team membership and a really functional workforce and a thriving workforce. And trust is also key in your own relationships, right? It's often very difficult to build. So this whole I naturally trust, that's not what I've seen. Many people don't naturally trust. And it is so easy to break. It is so easy. It is like that jewel. It's a precious jewel that you must have for the dynamics of all relationship. Yet, it is easy to break. And that is one thing I will say is I'm naturally trusting until till somebody proves they can't be
Yeah.
trusted. And then it's like, is it worth the repair work? It can be. Sometimes you can rebuild trust even stronger, but that trust is very precious. And I think you have to even build trust within yourself. Like in
Yes.
order to be a trusting person, you have to trust within, and then you have to navigate the trust. And again, it goes back to that integrity of, valuing your words and your beliefs have to match. You make repairs when you've damaged or hurt because it's going to happen. You reflect on what you've done and your role in a situation, and then take action accordingly and take responsibility. And there's the expectation that whoever you are in dynamic with does the same.
Yes, it's not always easy to rebuild, but I love this concept and these ideas you're sharing about sort of owning up to our stuff.
Hmm.
You know,
Yes.
it makes us human, it makes us real, and we get the benefit that it sort of lets us off the hook of that thought and roasting because we're human and we're fallible and we own up to it is a wonderful thing. Tell me, Laura, what's your greatest hope for the world today?
Oh boy. I still have so much hope in humanity. Um, I I wish and hope we all could see our oneness, how we all are connected. What I do does impact you. What you do impacts me. And that separate individualism, I understand on a day-to-day basis to navigate life, but truly we are one. We are one. And if we saw that if the hurt we cause to others also hurts us, I think I think all of us as human beings would walk a little differently. The other thing that I really hope for is to heal the wounded, right? We all walk around with wounds. And I think the first thing to recognize is the wounds and to nurture our own, like so we can heal, but also to see the wounded in the other so that instead of wounding further, we heal one another. So that is ultimately my hope for humanity.
Viewers, this is one to bookmark and listen to again. Laura has shared so much with us today beyond just what her business about, but to the fundamentals of how we operate in the world when we care about one another. Laura, tell me this as we're getting ready to close up here today. If your younger self were watching this video that we've made, this podcast, what would you say to her?
Keep following your path. It's laid out there. You know what it is. Just keep following it. And you're not in it alone. There's lots of guides along the way. And to lean into your talents, and there's no regrets. I don't think there's a wrong turn. There's a reason for each of those turns.
Love that. And finally, what invitation would you share with someone standing on the edge of their next chapter in life?
I would say that again, leaning the reflection on like really getting centered, connecting to the whole, centering with your breath, and just opening your mind and self and heart to the possibilities, accepting that the possibilities are vast, and to ask how you would best serve. And honestly, the doors just literally open. People come to be in your proximity that are there for those purposes for you to serve.
Amazing.
Just, yeah.
Laura Heintz, CEO of Stanford Sierra Youth and Families, thank you for being on Opening Pathways today. Where can we find you?
So if you want to know more about our organization, you can find us at ssyaf.org, which is Stanford Sierra Youth and Families.org, ssyaf.org. And actually, there's a way through that to connect through a contact us information email, and you can just ask to reach out to me, Laura Heintz, as the CEO.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I really love being with you, Tom.
Thank you so much. And to my viewers, this is Opening Pathways with Tom Lenoble, and I'll see you next time.